friends. So now I am back with my next video, and in this video we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is the syllabus analysis for this CSIR NET license exam. So as I watched different videos and I saw that many people were asking what are the different syllabus that they should focus and different books that they should get to learn to have or to clear all these exams. And in this video, I'm going to give you some tips based on my experience of CSIR NET Life Science exam. So what is this exam? So this is an exam which occurs twice in 1 year, in June and in December, to get clear this life science JRF or for the lecturership, and then you can apply for PhD. So when can you apply for this exam? In this exam, you can apply during your master's or after your master's. So if you apply during your master's, you need no objection certificate from your college, from your institute, and then you can apply this. And once you clear this exam, you can clear either the JRF, in which you get the fellowship, CSR JRF fellowship, or you can clear the LS. So if you clear the CSR JRF exam, your certificate, your fellowship is valid for 2 years after you get the certificate, which means suppose you clear your exam in 2023 and you get your certificate in 2024 January, suppose. So from January 2024 to January 2026, you can go for for the PhD in any college, which means your fellowship will be valid to like you can apply for that fellowship within these 2 years, and after that 2 years, if you want to get a PhD admission, then you need to give another JRF exam. And the lecturership, it is valid for your whole lifetime. So if you have this lecturership, if you know, now this is a mandatory for the, if you want to teach in the university, you should have a net lecturership certificate to be eligible for that for the teaching, for the professorship. So I will tell you how you can get this exam. And as I have already told you, this exam occurs twice in 1 year, first in June and the second one in December. So the weightage and the analysis that happens is these two different exams have different weightage for different subject. Suppose one subject is more heavier in weightage in the during the June exam, and the other one is carry more weightage during the December exam. The pattern is the same, but the question that you will get will be different. So now I am telling you for December 2023 the weightage for exams, weightage for the syllabus. So, how this paper is distributed? So, if you know, this paper is distributed into three parts: Part A, Part B, and Part C. And Part A, it consists of general aptitude questions, so which are you need to have basic knowledge of probability. I will explain in other my next slides what you need to focus more on, and it consists of 20 questions. So just it consists of 20 questions, and out of this 20 question, you have to attempt 15 questions, and each question with 2 marks. And if you do the negative wrong answer, you will get the negative marking of 0.5 marks. Okay, and then once you have this, you get to the second part. Second part is more related to your subject which you applied for. Like now we are talking about life sciences. So the second part is mostly direct questions which consist from your different life sciences subjects like biochemistry, genetics, ecology, and molecular biology and plant biology. So the questions that comes in the second part are more direct, and then you have to attempt out of 50 35 question, and each question carry 2 marks like the part A, and then for negative marking, zero point 0.5 marks will be deducted. And then comes the part C, which according to me is very important because the question that comes here is very conceptual. So they are not direct, but they are very conceptual. So if your concepts are clear, then you can easily clear them, because it out of 75 you have to attempt only 25, so you have more leverage, and then you can choose only 25 question, and each question carry 4 marks. So according to me, when I was giving this exam, I focused more on part C, so I started my examination with part C, because if out of 75, I have to attempt only 25. And if all the questions are correct, I will get 100 marks. Like 50% is part C. So because this examination is for 3 hours, when I was doing my exam, I focused mostly on part C. So I gave like 1.5 hour only to part C. And then in another one, I started with part A and then part B, because if you clear this, then you get your more options to clear this examination for JRF and for the lecturership, and this is very easy. So I will talk about more like the difficulty, which part is more difficult. So the difficulty level of this exam is moderate, and the June one is also moderate. I would say the June exam is mostly like ecology that you will get. And if you are expert in ecology and plant biology, the June exam that happens is much more for you. But because I was mostly liked always molecular biology, genetics, biochemistry. So for me, the exam that happens in December is a much more easier. I would not say easier, but less complex as compared to June exam. So difficulty level for section A is a bit difficult, because if you know you are in your masters and then the question they ask you is from 11th or like basic maths like probability, so if you don't focus there or if you don't have much knowledge of this, then it can be difficult for you. But uh, but what I felt is it was difficult, but because I practiced previous year exams, so I managed to get enough marks in this part as well, in this section. And because it's like 30 marks, because it contains only 15 questions, so you can focus on this. But if you don't have that much patience, so if you can even attempt like 10 questions from here, then it's fine, because they're the most important is section C and section B. And then the section B is easy to moderate, because it's easy because the questions are direct, but then it's a bit difficult because you need to remember. Because in CSR Life Science section B part, the questions that you will get is the facts and the theory. So if you have a good remembering power and if your concepts are very clear, you know all the facts, then it's easy for you to go through the section B. And then comes the section C, which is according to me is easy because of you don't need to memorize the fact. You just need to know the concept of the problem. If you know the concept of any theory, if you know why it is happening and what is the purpose of it, then I think it's very easy, because they ask you very indirect questions like suppose you have to identify DNA and protein interaction and you cannot do Western blot, what technique would you do? So if you know the DNA and protein, you can try different technique, and one is like electrophoretic mobility shift assay. So you don't need to know what happens and what is the theory of how it moves. You just need to memorize the concept, because of the name it suggests you need to go there, and you need to have the based on their size and the movement they have different mobility. So in that way you need to remember the concept, but you don't need to focus on the theory that much. So now I will give you a brief idea about different sections. So this is, as I have talked about, it comes total 20 questions and then you have to attempt 15. And if you don't manage to attempt 15, I think that's okay. You don't need to focus that much time on this section, because now if you know there are only more or less 3 months which are left for the exam. So I would suggest focus more on the section B and C. And for section A, I personally suggest that you look in the previous year question papers, because most of the questions and not the same, not are not same, but similar type. So when you know how it happens, like in the previous year question, maybe you get a better idea and then you can get these answers. So it basically consists of the basic things that maybe you know from your schools, like from the blood relation, like this person has O blood group, this has A, who is the son, who is the father, and something like this, and also like the age, like if the age of this person is this, and after 10 years this is this, and how much times. So as you know, and then you get bar graphs in which they tell you the sale of this goes up in this year, and then what in this year it was 10%. So what do you think is the percentage? And then profit and loss. And for this, you should know the formulas. Speed and distance, it's very simple. And geometry, it's important. So you can focus. And then probability is, I think, is the easiest one because they don't ask you very complex question, but it's very simple. So as you can see, there are not much. It's almost the same for different topics except the speed distance. And I think you can get very good number of questions from here. And I think the previous year question paper will help you to clear this section. And then I'm going to go into B and C. Don't worry about this complex slide. I will go bit by bit. So first, you need to focus. I think this is very important topic as well, which is the enzyme kinetics, a bit of biochemistry, right? And I think this topic is very important. And in December, you will get lot of questions from here. Obviously, they will not ask you to derivate this enzyme kinetics equation, and they will not ask you the whole pathway of glycolysis and other things. But what they are going to ask you is the concept, like the formula is there, and the Km and Vmax, it's constant in which condition, like what happens in the uncompetitive inhibitors, competitive inhibitors, and then glycolysis is how much ATP is released and all these things. And then nuclear relocalization, basically the nuclear retention signal, like if a protein is moving from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, what sequence it will have, because it's the most direct question. So you can get the nuclear localization signal, and from the mitochondria, what are the different proteins involved. And similarly for the concepts in C section, they will ask you like if you want to retain some protein in the nucleus, what can you do and all these things. And then antibiotics, mode of action, like some antibiotics mm, like chloroquine and other things, puromycin, which inhibits translation. So where do they bind? And things like this. Like if you want to study the translation, how can you do it? By using the puromycin, because it's an inhibitor, because this is a synthetic tRNA and things like this. And then for section B, you need to know the basic facts about the DNA packaging, like the linkage number and initiation complex. And then we go to the immunobiology, in which you need to know the tyrosine pathway complement system, which is very important because they ask you what complex do they bind and things like these, and what happens in the end, and the MAP kinase pathway. You get lot of question from these on section 3 as well. And then the development thing. So as you can see, you get lots of questions from the developmental biology. Personally, I was not good in developmental biology, so I did not focus much on this. But if you are good at it, I think this is a good opportunity for you, because as you can see, you can get 4 or 5 questions from developmental biology. And then plant biology, it's very simple. They ask you about different secondary metabolites and different like abscisic acid, their function, Camp cycle, and plasmodized metastructure, when it opens, when it closes, and things like these. And then the allelic frequency, for sure, I can tell you, you will get one or two questions from Heidelberg and allelic frequency. That happens every year. And then you can get upon the kin selection, like the native kins and the primer productivity, right? Like how much energy get transferred from one stage to another, like 10%. And then maximum likelihood, for sure you will get questions from here. And then different techniques which are available to study protein interaction, to study um, protein-protein interaction, to study the DNA like southern blotting and isoelectric focusing and electrophoresis. So you will get lots of questions from here. And I'm not going to say that you need to focus on everything, because as you know, you will get 75 questions and you need to attend only 25. So maybe you can choose your best topics, because now it's only 3 months. You can choose your best topics and you study mostly about them, so that whenever questions come, you don't miss any from there, right? So you don't need to focus on everything. If you want to skip one or two parts, then it's okay. But whatever you are studying, make sure that you will be able to attempt all the questions from there. And again, I'm going to say from my personal experience, focus on section C. Look at the previous year question paper, because that will help you a lot, a lot. Because for me, they did help me a lot when I was studying, and most of the questions, they are not repetitive from previous year, but they are a bit similar, so it's easy for you to focus. And then based on that, you can get your concepts clear. And now, from next time, I'm going to start from these points where I'm going to teach you these topics one by one. And if there are any topic that you want to know more, please let me know. And if you have any doubts, you want to know the books, recommendations, also please let me know. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you.